Hello everybody, welcome one and all to something new on the channel. It is a new series and a familiar game. Yes, we are back in NCAA04, but hear me out. It's going to be a different kind of series. This one is going to be structured much like my Louisiana Monroe series was, where we kind of do a season in a video, and it's going to be spaced out a little bit during the weeks in terms of uploads, because I am starting, by the time this comes out, my new Bills series in Madden 2002 has started, and that's going to be the main thing running on the channel since we've been doing college football for so long. But because I love college football and can't give it up, we're still going to be interspersing some college football videos like this series, and then of course I have a big coaching Dynasty long form video that I am working on, which has now been, the first part has been completely edited. I just now need to script it up and record the voiceover for it, and then it'll be done, and you will be able to see that, and it should hopefully be fun for you guys. But I'm recording the rest of it now. It's been a lot of fun. But let's talk about this series now here, because we're going to try and rebuild the Duke Blue Devils. This is going to be one of the harder rebuilds that you could do in this era of these NCAA games, because Duke is not good. They are a 2-star prestige, which I think is good enough to at least get a start on. Those 1-star prestige teams are really difficult to do anything with, but these 2-star prestige teams, you might be able to at least win 2 to 4 games, and that could help you potentially, maybe, I don't know. But we're going to be taking over from Carl Franks, who was the Duke coach from 1999 through the 2002 season, which, as you can see on screen, they finished 2-10. But the thing to note about Carl Franks' tenure is that they went 3 seasons without winning a single conference game, including the 2002 season. So even though they won 2 games last season, not a single ACC game was won. So in real life, Carl Franks would actually go into the season that this game takes place, the 03 season, and would get fired about halfway through after a 2-5 start, going 0-4 once again. And then Ted Roof would be the interim that would come in and relieve him and finish 2-3 for a 4-8 record, and even win a couple conference games. So Carl Franks was just an absolute football terrorist to the Duke Blue Devils program, and then Ted Roof would go on to have a similar run as Carl Franks, also having 3 winless conference seasons in 04 through, in 05 through 07. So it's a brutal run for Duke Blue Devils football. They have not been to the postseason since 1994, in which they lost a bowl game, and they have not won a bowl game, or rather, they have not, actually, no, they lost that last bowl game. So I see it's highlighted, so I think they won the ACC in 89, which is the last time they've done that, but they would lose that bowl game as well. So I think outside of that, Duke has never done it here, or actually they won the Cotton Bowl in 1960, so that's what we're looking for, guys. We were trying to get a bowl victory for the first time since 1960. That's why I think this is fun, because a lot of the other programs that we talk about that are historical failures, a lot of them are relatively new, or at least new to FBS, but Duke is a storied program here. They've been around for a while. They've been sucking for a long time, so there's a lot of history here that we're going to try and circumvent in Durham. But our coach is going to be Jim Weston. I don't typically change the looks of the coaches anymore, because what I do now is I go in reverse. I take the randomized coach that the game gives me, and I just make a name for him. Does this not look like a Jim Weston to you? He does to me. So we're going to get into this now and take a look at what the Duke team, or at least what the Duke program is looking like entering into our very first season at the helm. All right, first things first here, we got to look over the roster. Immediately, that's what we got to do. I guess I'll go stat book first. I don't normally do this live, or live commentary, which I've always wanted to with these games, because I feel like, I don't know, it's more fun for me, I guess. I've been doing that more. I did it with the Bills video too. Maybe I'm just getting back into it. Who knows? All right, looking over things now. Oh my God, I love those helmets. Those helmets are clean, dude. Oh, I wish they still had those today. Those are absolutely clean, dude. One of my favorite parts about these old games is just these weird helmet designs from the early 2000s that just scream early 2000s that they don't use anymore. NCAA02 has some of my absolute favorite. That Northern Illinois logo from that time, oh my God, it's absolutely amazing. I think they even have that Indiana logo still, which is like the weird oval with the IU in it. I don't know. You got to look it up, dude. They're sick. But anyway, talking about the team here. So, quarterback depth is not there. Our starting quarterback is a 63 overall. Let's look at the throw power and throw accuracy, see if there's anything there to talk about. 74 throw power isn't the worst, but the throw accuracy at 69 is obviously going to be a bit of an issue. But he is a junior, so he will have at least this season and next season to maybe become something. If you are a Duke Blue Devils fan, you probably know who all these guys are potentially. So if you do, kudos. You can drop it down if you see this. Otherwise, no. But yeah, we have 3 juniors at quarterback. So it looks like we won't need to recruit one in the first season, but obviously it's bad, so we're going to need to upgrade there. So we need to get a quarterback if we can. The best player on our team is a running back. If he's an 80 overall, then he's probably a real person who did real things in real life, but he's a senior. So we're only going to get him for one season, and then there's only one junior behind him, and then nobody else. So we're going to need to recruit, probably completely rebuild the running back position after this season. At fullback, we have another 80 overall, so the run game seems to be the bread and butter for this Blue Devils team. That's good to know for when we change up our coaching strategy before I run the sim. But yeah, he's a senior, and then we have a junior behind him as well. So very old team here. We're going to need that. That's going to make this even harder because that means there's going to be more people to replace in a shorter amount of time. Receiving core here, we got 360s, so we can survive with that. They are, again, all juniors for some reason. And then we have a senior and another junior. So our whole receiving class is juniors. Hopefully all of them will come back after the season because we might get a couple of these guys close to or above 70, and we might be able to survive with that. Our tight end is a sophomore at 62, so that gives us at least a couple more years with him. And then we have a junior behind him. Man alive. Okay, so our left tackle is a senior at 71, and then we have a sophomore 69 behind him, so I actually kind of like the situation at left tackle, all things considered. At left guard, we have a 72 overall senior, and then a 58 overall guard behind him. Man, this team is going to be awful in year 2. This team is going to be even worse in year 2. I see why the interim who took over, I see why things got so bad, because, yeah, this team's got nothing going on past the current starters, man. Yeah, Ted Roof, I understand why things went so bad for you, but we have 55 overall senior, so we have a complete gaping hole at center. And we see some of the guys below here who are better, so we might actually swap that out, because neither of those guys are going to be feasible to run there. We have another senior at right guard here at a 64 overall, and then a freshman behind him at 56, and then we have a senior right tackle at 72. So it looks like the entire O-line is seniors except for, actually no, they're all seniors, and they're all actually serviceable except for the center. The center position is the only one where we're kind of like, hey, that's really bad. But I'm going to see if I can throw in this right tackle here. Let's see, is there anyone who actually could play? No, I don't think so. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone could probably slot in there. What about... Does 79 work? Is he anywhere? Where's he at? Yeah, that works. Cool. So now we have a better situation, at least at center. Someone who's not a 55. It's almost 9 overall points better. And, yeah, so... And then we'll put the backup center there. Yeah, that works. Cool. That works. All right, so decent enough, I guess. We can, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm trying to gaslight myself into believing that this can happen, that this can work. And then the left end is a junior at a 70 overall. That's fine. We'll take that. A 71 sophomore, so he should actually get a little bit better over time. And then a freshman 69. So the right end situation might actually be pretty decent. It's probably one of the only position groups on the team that'll probably be in a better position the longer that we continue this. So defensive tackle, we have an 85 overall at senior. He's probably a real person. And then we have a 73 behind him as a junior, so I like that as well. Another junior at 61 and then a sophomore at 61. So a little bit of depth here at defensive tackle that we can maybe rely on in the next couple of seasons. At linebacker now. At left outside linebacker, we have 65 overall junior with a 63 overall freshman behind him. That's good. We will take it. A 78 overall senior in the middle, and then a 55 freshman behind him. That's bad. That's going to have to change a little bit. That depth is probably going to have to change just a tad. And then we have a 65 overall sophomore on the right side with another sophomore at 61 behind him. So between these two guys, one of them should turn into a formidable starter here by the time they are seniors. In the cornerback room, we have a 70 overall junior. That's decent. 79 speed, not that great. And then it immediately falls off. I don't know why he's listed second. That's kind of bad if you ask me. Let's flop these guys around. Put the sophomore at 64. Yeah, then it's all 50s all the way down. Not great here. We actually have a senior too, dude. How are you 58 at a senior? Jeez, man, the game did him dirty. The safety position here, we have a 70 overall free safety as a junior, so we will have at least another season or so with him. And then we have a 66 overall senior on the strong safety position with a 59 overall sophomore behind him. So not good. Then we have a 60 overall senior kicker, so we're going to have to replace our kicker, man. I hate going into the first season having to replace a kicker. That's just absolutely brutal. So, again, so we have a lot of juniors who maybe by year 2, it looks like we're going to have to put a lot of eggs into the year 2 basket. We're going to have to patch as many holes as we can with the position groups that we're going to completely have decimated. And then we're going to have to try and make do with like a lot of these high 60, low 70 like seniors that we're going to have next year. Like number 16 is probably going to be like maybe a 66, 67 as a senior, and like that's going to be the best that we can do unless we can get a new quarterback, which I don't think we'll be able to. So that's going to be a thing, and that's the best shot we're going to have in year number 2. So we'll save real quick. All right, our next order of business obviously is probably look over the schedule. Again, I have a rule here that I typically do, is that I don't change. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. My rule is that I typically do not change the year 1 schedule, since it's the one that actually happened in real life. Then once we get out of real life, we can start changing things how we want to, and then we might be adding some FCS games here or there. But we already have one, so we have the Catamounts of Western Carolina already on the schedule here. So we're going to leave Western Carolina, because that might be the only game we win. And then we have Rice at home as well, and Northwestern. So if you're actually been on my channel for a very long time, you might remember one of the first videos I ever did was a recording of that Northwestern Duke game in this very same game, so in our Northwestern series. But either way, so these 3 are at a conference schedule is actually pretty easy. But we have number 70 Tennessee. Why do we play Tennessee? Oh my god, why on earth do we play Tennessee? All right, and then we also have Virginia, Florida State, Maryland, and NC State all in our own conference who are also ranked. So that conference schedule in general is just a murderer's row. This actually might be a lot harder than I thought. I didn't think it would be like collecting the Infinity Stones difficult, but I figured it wouldn't be that great, because we are obviously objectively the worst team in the ACC. I don't even think it's close. I don't even think there's another team in the ACC that could probably fight for that spot right now. We'll take a look. I'll take a quick look at the standings and just see exactly. Well, okay, we'll go to Conference Outlook. That might actually give us what we're looking for here. Let's go to Conference Outlook and just take a look here at the ACC. So, yeah, NC State is projected to win the ACC. Florida State projected to come in 2nd. Maryland 3rd. Virginia 4th. Georgia Tech 5th here. Clemson at 6. North Carolina at 7. Wake Forest at 8. And then us all the way at 9. So I like the size of the ACC. It's not too big where we have to worry about a lot of teams, but a lot of the ACC is good. Like half of the ACC is like currently like a good program. Like even Georgia Tech's not ranked, but Georgia Tech will probably have 500 or better seasons throughout most of the series, I would imagine. And then you got to watch out for Clemson as well. They might catch a little bit of fire here as well. But Wake Forest is the only team that I think is in our like realm right now. North Carolina could quickly become that, but Wake Forest is the only team that we could probably argue that we're better than. But clearly the game already off rip in year number 1 doesn't think so. So and I'm inclined to believe them. So yeah, this is the schedule as it stands right now. It's kind of a we have a 5-star strength of schedule. I believe it, dude. We have 4 ranked teams, and then also, we have Clemson, which we'll probably lose to, North Carolina. Yeah, I perceive 2 or 3 wins at the max, so that's on the better end of what we're doing, or what could potentially happen. So we're going to go to coaching strategy. Okay, so the strategy already skews pretty heavy to the run, and it's aggressive, which I'm going to go for. I think when you're a bad team, it doesn't hurt to go aggressive, because it doesn't kill you. You're probably going to lose every game anyway. And then passing-wise, it's the same setup on defense as it is offense, so I kind of want to balance the defense a little bit more, since we don't really do anything well. Like, we don't particularly do anything well. Our linebackers are decent, so I'm going to skew a little bit more pass, and I'm going to take us down towards the middle on conservative there, because I don't think our defense should be nearly as aggressive as our offense is. I think our offense should be completely throwing caution to the wind, and defense should be a little bit more on their toes. That's probably the best chance that we have to give ourselves to win some games. So taking a look over the schedule one more time, we start off with Virginia ranked. That's awful. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do. So, yeah, okay. So we're going to run the sim here, and then I'm going to check back in after, and then we're going to get into the offseason, I guess. Or I might end it there, because I ramble a lot, and I don't want this to be super long. I want these episodes to be about as long as the regular, episodes on my channel are, 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to run the sim real quick, and then get on out of here, and take a quick look at the damage. So, all right, boys, it went about as bad as expected. The only game that we managed to win was Western Carolina, which we only won by 2 points. We won by 2 singular points, unfortunately. We finished 109. I just see that. We finished 109th in the country, which is not last. I think there's at least 10 more teams that are worse than us, or 7 or 8 more teams that are worse than us. So that's something. The other thing I'm trying to avoid here is going winless. As long as we don't go winless, I think we'll be all right. And another stipulation, too, because it's very possible after this season or after the next couple seasons, if we get fired, I'll just keep creating new coaches until we finally fix Duke. That's the thing with the series. I'm just going to keep making coaches. coaches, so it'll be a funny little thing. But we opened the season getting beat by Virginia. Close game, though. We did put up a fight against the Cavaliers to start off the season, who finished 8-4, beat Western Carolina here. A bad offensive showing against Rice, who had an average season. We would lose by 1 score to Northwestern here, who had a bad season. That's a winnable game. Then get blown out by Florida State a little bit here, who had a 9-3 season. Out of our bye week here, we lose another close one to Maryland at 9-3. So maybe if I re-simmed this or tried to fudge the numbers a bit, we might have won those 3 or 4 games that Duke won in real life. But we lose a bad one here to Wake Forest. A bad Wake Forest team beats us up. So I guess that settles whether or not we are worse than the Demon Deacons. NC State then blows us out at 2. They were ranked at the time of that game, but had a collapse in the second half of the year, finished 7-5. Tennessee, of course, blows us out as well here. They finished at 10-2, ranked in 11th. Georgia Tech also blows us out here, had a pretty good season. Clemson blows us out, and then we get absolutely trounced. It looks like the team just gave up in the last week of the season in a rivalry game against the Tar Heels, who were also very bad this season. And yeah, their second win. I think we were both 1-10 in this game, and they get their second win against us. So that is how the first season ends here. Kind of really nothing good to hold our hat on to whatsoever. So we'll sim through the conference week here and through, I guess, the postseason, since we're not going to be any part of it in the slightest. Then we're going to take a look at the stats. And Ohio State gets 2 players getting Heisman votes, but it's ultimately the quote-unquote running back from Kansas State, whoever could it be. Maybe you know. But he wins the Heisman here, and then we'll sim through all of the bowl games, and then we'll get looking through all the stats. All right, there's a record here. Now, I don't know how he didn't win the Heisman after getting some sort of a record for yards in a season, but good for Ohio State, who did not make it to the national championship game. I don't believe so. But hey, we didn't lose our job, so we lived to suck another year. But let's see who did win the national title game here. Let's take a quick look through bowl week here. You can take a quick glance at all of the bowl games here. And Texas falls to Colorado State. And Colorado State wins the very first national championship in the Sims. I already hate it. I already want to completely redo this because this is awful. Off rip, things are already going bad here. And somehow Texas and Oklahoma here. Look at this. At 11-3 Texas, oh my. Okay. Oh my God. I thought that was some NCAA05 type stuff. How on earth? You guys have watched the Bama series, dude. If you lose a single game, you can't make it. Oklahoma's 12-1 and somehow didn't. I don't know. Whatever. Let's just look at our own stats and get out of here. Just get out of here. Okay, so taking a look over things here. Looks like number 16 got a bulk of the time, of course. Awful. Terrible. Awful. Terrible. No one else really had a whole lot of time here. But yeah, only threw for 1,800 yards and threw for 7 picks. Yeah, dude. Terrible stuff here. So running the football I thought was going to be our bread and butter. Not really. Only 5 rushing touchdowns. Less than 700 yards. Not a good look here. Even we split time between running backs, which is not great. So even at the most, it would have been maybe 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. It's not great. 2 receivers with over 670 yards here. Only 2 touchdowns between the 2 of them. Good, dude. I've never seen stuff this bad. Oh my God, this right guard is getting absolutely blown up. 12 sacks allowed. Goodness gracious. Our right tackle had a decent season, but outside of that, the offensive line was completely horrendous. Explains why we got absolutely nothing going. Our middle linebacker had 120 tackles. 120 tackles. With 14 TFLs, which also I would assume leads the team. Yeah, it does. And then sack leader goes to our left outside linebacker, who also had 77 tackles and 11 TFLs. So linebacking core was absolutely feasting this year, guys. Maybe that was the only reason why some of our games were close. We just had some solid defensive play here, but outside of that, our offense was completely horrendous and lifeless. And then our kicker kicks 69%, which isn't good. Now let's go through stat rankings, but I'm really going to be looking at conference ranks. So, wow, actually, no, everything needs to look at. So, a lot of 9s here. The only 8th we have is the passing yards per game. So, I guess there was a team who was throwing for less yards a game than we were in the ACC. I would imagine it's probably North Carolina, but either way. So, we are towards the bottom here in total yards and offensive yards per game. Rushing yards per game is also towards the bottom. Points per game, we're right at the bottom. I think there's 117 FBS teams in this game. So, just a frame of reference when I say at the bottom, what we're talking about. But yeah, a lot of stuff outside of 100. There's not really anything that's outside of the bottom 100 here. I guess passing yards per game was up at 87, so maybe there's something there we could talk about. On the defensive side of the ball here, looks like passing yards per game. Yeah, our passing defense was sixth in the ACC, so there were at least a few teams behind us by that metric. But outside of that, things are pretty bad. Turnover numbers here, we're towards the middle of the pack in the ACC, which isn't terrible. There's a lot more numbers that are inside of the top 100 here. On the defensive side of the ball, but still not great here. So in the red zone, we were awful. Our red zone defense was awful, was literally the worst in FBS. It couldn't have been worse. 95%. So if a team got into the red zone, they scored 95% of the time. That is probably the tail of the season right there. Just the second you got inside the 20, it was a done deal. It was a done deal for this team. And then efficiency-wise, we had the most third down attempts. Is that what this means? We had the 8th most third down attempts in the entire country, but our conversion rate was actually at 63rd and 4th in the ACC. So we were actually a pretty decent team on third down, all things considered. But then the percentage is really bad. So these numbers are just bizarre. However you interpolate that data. And then fourth down conversions, we had quite a lot of them apparently, but the percentage was pretty bad once again. That's all that stuff. And then turnover-wise, so turnovers actually wasn't bad. So our quarterback, who didn't do much of anything because of having a low volume in terms of stats, the turnover numbers are actually not that terrible. We fumbled a lot more than we threw picks. But yeah, we were pretty high up. So we protected the football a lot. We just couldn't do anything with it. We just did absolutely nothing with it. Just run, turnover, or run, punt, run, punt. That's really all that we were doing this season. So, but that is the look at how, I guess, our first season is going. So it's already been going a little bit longer than I anticipated. But that is how the first season comes to a close. And when we come back in the next episode, we're going to try and go through the entire offseason and maybe see if we can fix the team, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if this gets better. I really don't know if this gets any better, but we're certainly going to try. So hopefully you guys are bought in to the Blue Devils rebuild with Jim Weston. Otherwise, he'll get fired and someone else will come in, and then maybe you can buy into that. But the prestige is already down to 1 star, so we probably won't have hardly any points to recruit. And being in North Carolina, I can't imagine we'll have a lot of talent to pull from either. But maybe we can rely on the pipelines. I don't know. But that's all for the next episode. So hope to see you guys in the next episode of the Duke Dynasty. I will probably keep doing live commentary for most of them. That's kind of fun. I'll just record these like every Friday when I record, and that'll just be fun. I don't know. We'll look into it, maybe. So thank you guys for watching, and hope to see you guys in the next Blue Devils episode.